Alright guys, so I just had an interesting moment. So for anyone who doesn't know, I don't normally sleep very much. And when I do, sometimes I tend to have these, I don't know what they're called, but they're just like a reoccurring nightmare. This is going to get a bit personal just so everyone knows. Now, it's very rare for it to be the same nightmare, but it is normally very similar. For anyone who's not aware, I have a horrible fear of deep waters, most likely because of my past with the abusive family I grew up in. Or I didn't grow up in, but the abusive foster family I had before the family that adopted me now. There's this, I guess I'll go into the details of it. Basically, in that family, my foster father, who back then was the only abusive one in the family, would basically shove the heads of me and 3 of my other siblings who were there at the time, we were all foster siblings, into the bath, basically, and almost drown us. So, it was a bit unexpected to have a nightmare that I haven't had in months, almost a year probably. I actually don't, I'm kind of speechless right now because I haven't had this nightmare in so long. But I used to have this nightmare all the time. Like, it would happen once every probably 2 weeks, somewhere around there. And it's this nightmare of basically the same events that have happened, and I don't remember the actual memories of it, but I guess subconsciously you're supposed to like keep memories or whatever. And I just remember me basically, like, every time I'm basically having my head shoved underwater, and normally, oh shush, normally it evolves into me actually being submerged in water with no escape. And this is kind of a weird thing to talk about on YouTube, but it's something that just happened, and I'm honestly a bit shaken by it. And the thing that was most interesting to me was Jess didn't know about this. She knew about like my past with it and everything and my fear of deep waters. But basically, she didn't know about the nightmare aspect of it. For anyone who didn't know, she was actually at a friend's house overnight. It is currently like 4 or 5 a.m. It is currently 5:13, okay. When I'm making this. And she came home early because her friend had work in the morning at 7. And, came in with me basically, I don't know what to call it, not crying, but like squirming around on my recliner. Basically, as she referred to it as yelping in pain. And I don't know how to explain what I'm feeling right now, because it's something I just haven't felt in a while. This nightmare is like, this is probably my biggest fear, is just deep waters. Not even deep waters, just having my whole body submerged in water. Jess is currently upstairs in bed, or trying to get in bed. She has her headphones in and everything, because that's how she falls asleep. But, yeah, I had to explain this whole thing to her, and it's not easy for me to explain to people in general, because it's something that I don't have memories of. I know that that's what happened, and that's why I have these nightmares every so often. But honestly, I thought I was past these nightmares because it was going on for years, just like bi-weekly, or not bi-weekly, semi-weekly, whatever it's called, once every 2 weeks. Bi-weekly is twice every week, right? I don't know. Anyways, it happened once every, like, 2 weeks. That was probably the least it would happen. It would happen sometimes more, but it was so long ago that I thought I was kind of past it, and I actually almost forgot that I was having these nightmares, but just had one. And, it was shocking for me to wake up with Jess shaking me, like, demanding that I wake up, because she was actually genuinely worried about me. And I will admit her reaction was really, it helped me a lot, because she was genuinely worried for me, and it kind of helped my heart kind of be like, oh, she's here for me. Like, I'm not, just the feeling of knowing someone's next to you is huge when you're in this kind of state. And I remember just, like, the first thing I did was just, like, when she woke me up, I was gasping for air. And this is something that, I don't know if it's happened every time, but when I suddenly wake up, whether or not it's from someone or an alarm or whatever, I tend to, like, gasp for air. Like, I can breathe fine, but for some reason my body just doesn't want to take in normal oxygen amounts. It just wants to gasp and just, like, desperately try and get air. And I don't know why that is. It might have to do with the dream. I don't know. But I'm not sure what made it resurface, to be honest. I guess it just happens, but normally something creates the theme of a dream, and that's what normally it focuses on. And it's been so long that I don't know why it has such a big gap. I don't know. I'm kind of panicking right now, because if I have to deal with this every time again, I'm going to be in really bad states. When I was going through this nightmare phase, as I call it, when I'd have these nightmares so often, every time I'd have one, my mental state would go straight down. And this is actually the time where I was having these the most, was when I was in my depressed state, which, if you guys don't know, was years ago, because at one point I've been diagnosed with depression. I still have depression, but it normally doesn't surface unless it's a certain day. And those days are extremely rare. Like, it's just I wake up and I just don't feel up to anything, and I just kind of waste that day, and the next day I'm fine. But when I would have these nightmares, it would be like days of me just being not in a good mood, or me just being like, I can't do this today. So if this is happening again, I'm going to be really crappy. And it might even influence my videos if it continues to happen again. I don't know what's going to happen, because it's just one time, but I'm, like, really anxious, because this happened multiple times in the past. Like, I think I've had the similar dream, like, probably 100 times by now. I don't know how many, but it's been so often at one point that I couldn't cope in everyday life. And in high school especially, my friends could probably attest to this. Or is it a test? What's the word? They could probably support this claim. There were some weeks where I just didn't interact with anyone. I was just always in the corner by myself or at a table that really didn't have anyone there. And that was because of the state I was in that was kind of triggered by these dreams. And I don't know what triggered these dreams, it just kind of happened. Now, I do want to point out, this is very personal to me, so I'm sorry if it got really deep and all that. It's just that this topic has, I guess, been haunting me, is the word to put in there, for my whole life, basically. I know when I was younger, I actually jumped into a pool, and originally I was actually only afraid of bathtubs and all that. Nowadays it's just deep waters, because back then I was tiny. I could drown in a bathtub. Nowadays I can just sit up in it and I don't drown. But the difference is I can't handle deep waters. I can't go in pools, by the way. I know how to swim, it's just I don't trust myself in a pool. Not the deep end, at least. So I can go in the shallow end, but I choose not to, because I look like a complete idiot if I'm the only one there. I can't go in the, like, if there's a beach, I can't go in the water there. And I actually really like to swim, but this fear is just, it's kind of brutal to me, because I honestly love being in water. I love the feeling of being in water, but the anxiety of it kills me. And this dream is now making me afraid to do anything today. It's like 5 a.m. and I'm freaking out, and I don't know why. If you guys had seen me when Jess was, like, really panicking about me, I was shaking. I'm still a bit shaky in my legs, but that's a bit different. My arm's a bit shaky a bit. My right arm. My left arm right now is against my knee, so Yeah, you can tell I'm a bit shaky. So I can't even show you my knee. It's basically rested on my knee, so it's not as shaky. But my right arm is actually still a bit trembly. I mean, my camera work is normally pretty bad, but yeah, this is completely different. This is me actually trembling. God, I don't know why. And by the way, this isn't really a phobia because I'm not afraid of the thought of it or like people being in water or whatever. It's the actual act of me getting into deep waters. It's the actual act of me being completely submerged. And I'm really out of it right now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm extremely panicky right now, and Jess, when I explained it to her, I don't know what she thinks right now because she was freaking out, and I don't know really what she thought of it. She's just like, well, I'm glad you're okay. Well, I'm upstairs if you need me. Well, she was like, do you need anything? And I go, no, I think I'm good. She goes, well, I'll be upstairs if you need me. And she walks upstairs, and she said she's going to get some sleep, so... yeah, you guys can probably tell I'm a bit shaky. It's a bit hard to tell, plus I have long nails. Do you guys see it? I'm a bit shaky. It's hard to tell with my camera. Yeah, sometimes, certain angles of my arm will shake more. So, like, when my arm is extended, it'll shake much more. But the actual, like, hand is much more stable when it's bent. I don't know why. I am sorry, guys, if this video is just, like, really long and really depressing. But, this is something I needed to talk about because it's been haunting me. That's about all there is to it. So, yeah. I will admit I can't actually grab a bottle with my right hand right now. I was gonna drink earlier and it was so bad that I mean, I probably can now. It's not as bad as it was. But I was trembling so much that it actually slipped out of my hand because I couldn't grip it correctly. And hit the table. It didn't break. Thank God, because it's a glass bottle. By the way, I just love drinking out of the glass bottle. It's fun. But this is... once again, I'm sorry if this is just really, like, depressing and really deep. It's just my all-time biggest fear. Or biggest... It's not even a fear. It's just... The feeling of it makes me really anxious. It doesn't make me afraid as much. It just makes me really anxious. It really just messes up my mood entirely. Overall, I'm not afraid of it, so it's not really a phobia. But... It is my biggest fear, I guess. I don't know if it's really a fear, but I'm calling it that. Which, if you guys didn't know, in high school, well, not even high school, I'm going to say more middle school and below. I was actually, when I was, like, still growing, like, I wasn't really, like, teenager size. I guess I was teenager size, the end of middle school, but you know what I mean. Like, when I was still in, my growing period, when I was still getting taller, I was afraid to get in the bath. And I was fine with showers, but, like, I could not sit in the bathtub. Because I wasn't really, like, as a kid, I was actually really short for my age. As I grew up, I got actually taller than most people in my class. I'm the tallest freaking Beardsley, but yet I was still, like, so short as a kid. So, yeah. By the way, I will point out, if Subnautica ever has a VR, I'm not playing it. I'll freak out. I'll play the computer game. The issue is, like, with video games, it's completely different. I can watch and play a video game because it's on a screen, but if it's in VR where I'm actually, like, it makes me feel like I'm in that environment, that's when I panic. Although I will admit, I tend to hyper-focus. If you guys don't know what that means, it means I focus in on something so much that I kind of lose track of reality or anything else that's going on around me. One time I actually spent 3 hours straight playing a game when I was actually supposed to be at work after only 30 minutes of playing the game. That's what happens when I hyper-focus. So if I ever do play Subnautica on my channel, which actually should be happening once I get my PC, let's just say that I may have moments where I'll have to, like, take a break because it may be too much for me. Any underwater stuff is just too much for me. Yet I loved The Little Mermaid as a kid. It's just like if I hyper focus on something, it puts me into that that environment. It doesn't happen that much, but I do hyper focus occasionally with video games. It's not always the environment that I get sucked into, but the actual gameplay. So sometimes it'll be different, like for crying out loud, World of Warcraft. When I was playing that, I would hyper focus on that. I only played it for a few hours, but it was like all one session for the most part. I would play World of Warcraft for like 5. Sorry. I was supposed to play it for like 5 to see how it was. I ended up playing like a 3 or 4 hour period, and because I lose track of time, I lose track of reality. That's me in video games in general. That's also why when I record videos, I tend to go way over my estimated time, because I lose track in whatever I'm talking about, whatever I'm doing. Okay, I'm actually tearing up a bit. So that's a huge problem with me and gaming in general, is I tend to get stuck in that reality. And for games that involve like underwater stuff, for crying out loud, even Soma I can't play because Soma's a horror game for the most part, but that's a game where it has an underwater section. I can't do that. I can probably play it, but Soma's much more like immersive in my opinion. I don't know why, it just is. Subnautica's all like kind of cartoony animations for the most part. Like the creatures aren't exactly realistic. They have like that weird cartoony effect to them. That weird like childlike animation. You know what I'm talking about? So it's more animated. Soma is more of like a 3D model type of thing where it's like Halo graphics where it's much more realistic. It has actual people and all that. With Subnautica, it's all cartoony. Even the person you play as is kind of like animated. Oh, my voice is really, really wobbly right now. I don't know if you guys can tell. My heart is still beating fast. It's been like probably 20-ish minutes since I woke up from that, and my heart is still pretty much pumping way more blood than it should be. I probably have to go drink a bunch of water because I couldn't drink it earlier when I was trying to because my hand couldn't grip the stupid bottle. I should have asked Jess when she was down here. But I will admit the fact that Jess was literally by me, shaking me awake, and like she was actually holding my hand, making sure I was all right. That was huge to me, and I really cannot say how thankful I am to have a girlfriend like her around. Because if she hadn't come home early, by the way, well, it wasn't really early. She was supposed to be here at 8. But her friend, I guess that's what I heard. But her friend has work at 8, is what she probably said. So she'll be back before that. But she came back about 4:30, 4:45-ish, and saw me on the recliner, panicking, while I was still sleeping, and woke me up from it. And I wish I could show you guys her reaction and everything. I didn't record it, of course, but she also doesn't want to be on camera, of course. But the thing is, like, the fact that she was able to calm me down really quickly was huge, because when I do the gasping, I guess it's more like hyperventilating. When I hyperventilate like that, I guess it's gasping for the same thing, but when I hyperventilate, it's like, it's not the same thing, I guess, but it tends to, like, I'm in a panic mode. I'm not thinking straight. I'm still like in that reality in my mind state, and it's basically like my whole body is reacting the same as it would in that dream. Does that make sense? Or nightmare, I should call it. So when that happens, it normally doesn't calm down right away. I normally am hyperventilating for a good minute or so before I actually calm down to the point where I can breathe normally and I can focus in on reality. I'll still be in a horrible state, but I'll be able to actually focus in on what I'm actually doing in my actual environment. But Jess was able to calm me down almost instantly, and it was different because not even my parents could calm me down, which is also why I'm glad to have her as my girlfriend, because she knows me better than I know myself. And I guess better than my parents know me, because they couldn't calm me down. Of course, parents tend to, when you're younger and you're having these kind of nightmares, parents are the ones who are like your heroes, and the fact that they couldn't do it, but my girlfriend could, that's saying a lot. Sorry, Mom and Dad, if you see this. I'm gonna go. My hand's not shaking as bad anymore. It's still pretty shaky. My muscles are like actually pretty sore from like the trembling and everything. If you can't tell, I'm in a horrible state right now. I'll be fine. I'm perfectly okay. I might just have like a day or so where I just not feeling that good. Depression mode takes over a bit. If these nightmares happen again like they used to, I'm pretty upset. My videos might not be as energetic and might not be as they most likely won't be as long, at least. That's good. But for the most part, if this happens again, then I might not be doing videos on certain days. I'll make a video or like an audio thing of me talking. I don't know. Saying that I gotta skip that day. Most likely, I will not do that. But if worse comes to worse, I will. I don't want to ever come up with like. I don't ever want to make a video, upload it, and then be in this kind of like depressed state. I don't ever want you guys to see me in that state. This isn't my depressed state. This is just my panic state. My depressed state is, it's like me on the worst possible level. I'm barely like even talking. I just look down and I cannot smile for the life of me. Right now I can smile. I can smile. But I can't even fake smile when I'm in that mode. I call everything a mode nowadays. But for the most part, I don't know why, by the way, I cuff my ear a bit, and that's a coping mechanism. I don't know why it's not a coping, it's a tick, a nervous tick that I do. I'll go like this. Actually, that's weird, I can hear echoes when I do that. It's just like the air flowing through my finger, that's weird. Anyways, but I don't ever want to come and make a video and then upload it with me in my depressed state, okay? I never want to be seen by anyone like that. It's not who I want people to see me as. This state is fine. I'm just being deep and being honest and telling you guys about something that happened. But in my depressed state, it's not me, and I don't ever want you guys to see me like that. Which is also why when I made the gosh dang it, stop doing that. When I made the video about my friend who passed away, that video with just the audio and not my face cam, that was one of those times where I was in my depressed mode. I was actually reading from a script because I couldn't say it normally, I couldn't think normally, and I still needed to make a video about it, but I was depressed because of the topic it covered. I mean, reliving those memories was positive, but it was also really hard for me. So I do want to point out that that was why I did that in that video. I didn't have, I just had audio, no face cam, nothing else, just audio. And I may do that for those videos, I don't know. But days where I'm supposed to react or do something anime based or even just whatever the other one was, video games, those days, if this does happen, or get into that mode, which is very rare, I will point out, I don't ever really get into that mode. Even on days where I'm not feeling the best, or like those days where my depression kicks in, I'm not in depressed mode. I'm just not in as good of a state as I would be. But on those rare days, gosh dang, my arm's getting really tired because I'm resting against my knee and it's getting asleep. It's turning numb. On those days, it's not good, okay? Anyways, I'm going to end this video now. I'm also probably going to cut my ear again because this is what I do. It's just one side for some reason is what I do. Just holding it here is actually a weird nervous tick I do. I'm just showing you guys what it is right now. I'm not actually doing it. But I'll probably be doing this 100 times or more tonight because it's just how I cope. It's just my brain needs to do that. I don't know why. It's a nervous tick. That's kind of what they are. Anyways, I'm going to end this video now. Thank you for listening, everyone. Bye.